Well, hi there, and welcome again to another Evolve Alliance Provider Member Showcase. I have with me today Louise Biti from Aged Care Steps. Louise, welcome to the Evolve Alliance.
Thank you, Sue. We are really excited about this.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to have you with us because if I were to summarize in a nutshell what you do, you have a brilliant offering that enables advisors to deliver aged care advice to their clients in a whole range of different ways. And I love how you built out your offering. I'm so thrilled to be digging it into it with advisors now. But I love that you have solved the challenges for advisors in so many different ways. So, I mean, the question I always ask our guests is, what are the problems that you're solving for advisors? I, as a business coach, I'm gonna start this one off and get you to round it out for me because we know all of our coaches here at Elixir are working with firms who are always coming across client inquiries that need some help with aged care. And as you know, it's an incredibly complex area, and accountants will often get this wrong with their clients, particularly if they're business clients getting distributions from trusts. There's a huge need for advice. And yet when you've got an advice firm that they've already got a hell of a lot of information to keep up with and legislative change and so forth when they have a broad advice proposition. If it comes up once a year, even 3 or 4 times a year, it's always questionable about, well, is it worth actually upskilling in that area if we don't have this growth? Most of them are saying to us now, look, we know this is going to keep growing. How do we solve for it in different stages of the business? So we're going to talk about how you do that, which I just think is genius, the way that you've set it up. Have I nailed the problems that you're solving? Are there others that you're seeing advisors come to you that you solve?
Yeah, I think you've got the main part of it. It's really, everybody's aware of it. We all know the population's aging. We got that. We all know that frailty is becoming a big issue, and it's also becoming way more expensive, and the Royal Commission into Aged Care brought out some issues around where the industry needs to change and how it needs to adapt as well. So we get that. Clients are really confused, and I'm finding, there is a lot of people out there, even the older population, are all starting to ask the questions about, what does it mean for me? What do I need to start doing to be ahead of this? And how do I make sure I've got the best life that I can live, even if it involves some frailty? Plus, then we've got all the kids, kids our age. So, I mean, I still have 2 parents and 2 in-laws. And, this is a common question we think about every day, just how we might have to support them and what that might mean for them and for us and for our whole families. So we get that, we understand it. But as you said, advisors are busy. They've got other things that they're focused on. They may not see the questions coming in very often, so then they forget how to go about doing this. But we also get questions all the time where advisors say, look, it's not my client base. I don't get anybody asking me about aged care.
Right.
And I think they're probably not getting asked any questions because they're not telling their clients that it's relevant to them and that they can help and that they can direct it. And so clients don't even think to ask them.
Yeah, I absolutely concur with that. Unless you're dealing with a client base that's 30s and under, if you're in that really young age group, that shows my age. But you're absolutely right. I think it's one of those things that it's not a problem for your clients until it's a real problem for them. Sometimes it sneaks up on them really quickly. And if they don't know that the advisor has the capability, they might not naturally think that they're the right person to ask, because yes, we know there's all of the financial implications, but it's the emotional implications and the living and the health and the legacy sort of elements that sit around that. And so if they feel like they're left to their own devices, this is why I love the way that you've built this, because most firms nowadays, the financial advisors are not positioning themselves as a investment or a super person. They're positioning themselves as being that trusted relationship for all things financial to help people live their best life. Yeah. And so you would expect that, if that's their proposition and they're wanting to be that trusted person, the go-to person, they're going to have a solution for aged care when it comes up. And I think getting in front of it too, making it part of the planning, in your 50s, I point to myself there, I'm not quite there yet, very close. But when you are even planning in your 50s, pre-retirees, this should be part of the conversation about their long-term planning, is that at what point in time, do we have parents that are going through this, but at what point in time do we think about this for ourselves? And is there some things to get ahead of with our structuring?
No, I think you're absolutely right in that there's two really distinct areas here as well. So we've got those clients who come in and go, crisis has hit, we need to make a solution and we need answers now. We've got to sort out a lot of big life decisions. But then you've also got all of the other clients who it's just somewhere on their radar for in the future. And they're not maybe sort of thinking about, but not really doing anything actively. Financial advisors need to think about both areas. So how do we help those clients who come in crisis? But also, as you say, how do we get on the front foot and start to include in every new client meeting, every review meeting, a frailty planning topic? Now, we do that with estate planning. So, you know, our clients aren't dead, but we talk to every single one of them about estate planning. We need to bring that back to the period before about frailty planning. So what we know is that's a whole lot of extra work and it's a whole lot of extra complexity. So you're right, we've built systems to make it, what we think anyway, super easy to go, I know where I want to be in this space, how involved I want to be, and then we've got a solution. Because you don't all have to be an expert, do not have to be an expert, but you have to be talking to your clients, because if you aren't talking to your clients and they need help, they go to Google, they will put in financial advice or, you know, aged care advice, they will find another financial planner who wants to do that. And then you've got this risk of losing your client or your client being disgruntled that you couldn't help.
You didn't help. And especially given it's such a personal conversation to be having, there is a great risk that if the client starts talking to another advisor about those things, they've built more trust very, very quickly. And it's a very easy transition for them to say, well, actually, you helped me out so well here. I'd love for you. Should I transfer everything over to you? All right. So we're going to show all of those different steps in just a moment. Before we might do that though, Louise, I would love to just, we're going to throw to one of your clients that actually been using your services, because we can wax lyrical about it, but I always love hearing from someone that you've actually done this for. So we're going to hit play on that now.
So I'm Tabitha. I work as a financial planner and director at Insight Wealth Planning in Newcastle. We're a small business with a lovely group of clients. We service fee-for-service clients in the Newcastle Central Coast sort of area. We've got about 2,500 clients across the 5 advisors that we have. Initially, we engage with aged care steps after doing a quickie introduction with Louise Biti at a licensee provided information day. And it seemed interesting. I dabbled in aged care over a number of years prior to this role, and there's been a lot of change in the industry in that time. When we subscribed to aged care steps, I first dabbled in some of the calculators just to get a sense of what they do, and then expanded on that by, in fact, sending them on some specific advice documents and getting their help with the paraplanning service to, you know, map out a few different strategies for clients in one concise, easy to use document. And I found that process was really great, because whilst I felt like I had my L plates on, having the support of, you know, these technical experts in the aged care area meant that they could sort of, you know, push me a little bit in the right direction with other things to think about that weren't first front of mind for me. So I found that really reassuring to have that extra support. Their service, I found, was quite affordable for the complexity of the advice that was being put into the report, and I was then able to easily adapt it into our advice document and incorporate it with the other advice that I was providing as well, like investment advice. So it was definitely a succinct, easy to use document that I could integrate easily. So as the only aged care specialist in our business, the inquiries were increasing, and it came a time when I needed to undertake the actual course accreditation, you know, formally, when we were starting to get more and more inquiries about it. And so I did the intensive format course, and I found that over those few days, it gave me an excellent, well-rounded, view of all things aged care. And then subsequently being able to, see clients. I'm seeing probably 3 cases a month at the moment that are aged care related. Not all of those progress to advice. Sometimes it's a very early inquiry where a client or power of attorney might be just exploring the options that might be upcoming for them. But it's given me the language cues, the toolkit with calculators, and the support to then follow it all the way through to advice without feeling as though I need to have, a power planner in-house that has that specialist knowledge. The online toolkit is really easy to navigate with calculators and client-friendly materials. I also find that when I am going through the process of engaging with a client, early on, I found it really hard to price what my work was going to be worth. And what I found with the Aged Care Steps team, they've got an excellent fee estimator tool that supported me to really understand the effort and the time involved in each increment of the work with aged care so that I can price my work accordingly. So there's a really great framework to use there for that purpose as well. Continue to appreciate the support through Aged Care Steps. I think that trying to navigate this world when it's changing so much is really difficult because this is only one aspect of what we do as advisors, and it's a very complex area, but it's allowed me to really focus on the relationship element of the conversation with the client and not get stuck in necessarily the manual processing of individual components of the aged care fees, that I've got as many efficiencies as I can in using that. So it's been a massive support for us. It's worth the investment.
Wow. Yeah. See, changing lives all over the place, Louise. That's awesome. So why don't we step now into some detail? So I know that you've got different ways to solve for different challenges for advisors. Should we start with, those who have not done any of it yet and then have the crisis call from a client, or suddenly they've got 1 or 2 opportunities. They don't necessarily want to refer it out, but they don't have the skill set themselves to deal with it?
Yeah, so the first solution we've got is we can do it for you. So for those advisors who really don't know anything at all about it, we have a personal advice license. We don't go out and market directly to clients, but what we will do is we have a B2B offering. So if an advisor, an accountant, a lawyer has a client that they want us to work with them on, we can actually give that advice. So it's around, we can give the advice, but still, even in that area, we've also got training about what's the education that you need to know to have those conversations, and what are the resources that you might need to have in your office to be able to then also back up your conversations with them as well. So a lot of things around the education materials, marketing materials, and then most importantly, we can do it for you.
And so how that kind of sounds very similar to one of the other provider members that we've got in the Legal Hub, where that's for estate planning, but the advisor holds the relationship and the advisor gets the information, contracts it out to the expert, but they still sit with the client and play that liaison role. How does that actually work in, for aged care?
Yeah, we can do a very similar arrangement, in that the advisor stays the center of the client's project. Now, whether the advisor wants to be involved in the meeting or not is up to the advisor, but we would come in, we would meet with the client. Generally, we will do that remotely. And we will meet with the client. We will give them the strategy advice, produce a statement of advice, and we do that under our own license.
Yeah.
And so therefore we are the advisor, but we don't do any investment work. So we're not, and any follow-up, if clients sell assets and then need to look at investing, that gets fully passed back to the advisor to pick up from that part as well. And therefore the advisor is able to give their client a solution and also still maintain the relationship with not only the client, but with their wider family as well, because any ongoing work is going to come back. So it's a way of basically outsourcing, saying, I'm here, I understand you, but I'm going to bring in an expert for that component.
Yeah, that's great. So that's the done for you service. and then a step back from that. And I actually see that's a great way for advisors to start utilising the services, where, you know, if you start to have a few inquiries, maybe you're not really ready yet to fully get accredited yourself, but it's a great solution instead of referring somebody out. So that middle one, they're done with you.
We can do it with you. So again, the same thing, it might be, and again, with the fact that we have a personal license, we can mentor an advisor. So again, it might be an advisor who's thinking about wanting to get into this space, but not confident yet. So again, we could come in, show you how to do that with you and your client in the room. So we can mentor you to give you the confidence.
Right.
We could, if you're confident in having that client conversation and gathering the right information and managing the client interactions, we could step back out of that and just do the paraplanning for you. So again, we've got the capability and the tools. So just do the paraplanning and you deliver it under your own license. Or then the next stage is where we could teach you how to do it, and let you do it yourself, which is then we could license you to use the software we've got, which is a really simple, useful tool that makes life so easy giving aged care advice as well.
Yes.
So either we do it for you, we do it with you, or we help you do it yourself, you know, teach you how to do it.
That's great. So let's look at that, doing it with you. So your paraplanning service.
Yeah.
Let's drill into how that works from a detail perspective. So I'm the advisor, I've got all the information. I guess I am trained and qualified in understanding aged care, but of course I don't want to be doing the documentation myself. I want to outsource that to you. And is it fair to say a lot of outsourced paraplanning services don't have this specialisation in aged care? Do any?
Yeah, well, some will do a little bit of aged care, but what the difference is I think, you know, our whole team lives and breathes aged care. And so there are some common strategies that people will know, and, you know, calculating the fees. A lot of people know how to do that, but it's understanding the nuances behind how does it all actually pull together and what's the bigger picture around it. You know, how do the different family dynamics come into play? The arrangements that families might have, you know, we see all sorts of complicated arrangements coming in, which are just sort of a little bit outside the rules as well. So with our paraplanning, a couple of things with it as well. So we live and breathe aged care. So all of our team absolutely know it. We have software that enables us to do very flexible modelling. And so we can do a much wider range than other paraplanning teams can do. We're quick. Generally, from when we've got all the information, we take 1 to 2 days to get the plan back to the advisor. Unheard of, I know, in these days.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of the AFSLs that have approved their advisors to use us as well. So we've got that stamp of approval in many cases as well. So it's a very efficient way, a cost-effective way, and an accurate way to know that you're giving your clients the best work. We can develop the strategy as well. So it's not just you tell us what to do and we put it into a document.
We're not just word processing paraplanners.
No, we'll use our knowledge, and we will actually sort of talk to you about, you know, these are the things that we think would be most effective, or these are the problems that maybe you've overlooked and that you want to talk about as well.
So I know we'll cover all of the costs, but while we're on that point, what fees do you charge for the paraplanning?
So standard fees are $1,000 plus GST,
Right.
but for advisors who are part of one of our membership services, we've got a couple of different membership packages. We give $100 discount off that. So it'd be $900 plus GST.
And given the complexities of aged care and the fact that this is really important, you get one shot at it, right? It's so important to give really good quality advice. So I think that's really reasonable for the kind of work. And obviously advisors are charging a fee for that aged care advice. That obviously all of their additional costs over and above that paraplanning cost. Do you want to maybe touch on that? Because you and I probably see a lot more of that than most people, and it's probably a big question on people's minds.
It is a really big question, because we get often asked with advisors, you know, I can't make money out of aged care, but I think you can. I mean, in many, many ways. But generally the price range varies quite considerably. But that's also because the services that are being provided vary quite considerably as well. But, you know, we're starting to see for a client that comes in making a move into aged care, and you've got a 2-meeting advice process and a statement of advice that you're giving them, we're starting to see price range between about $4,000 and probably $5,500 for that piece of advice. Now, when you've got families that are time poor, dealing with incredibly emotional decisions, lots of conflict between siblings, if they can see that you can take away a lot of the pain, a lot of the worry, and a lot of the grief, they're very willing to pay those sorts of prices. Now, we see advisors that charge more than that. We see advisors that charge less than that. But that seems to be about the price point. So, you know, and paying us to do that paraplanning for you is a portion of that cost that you just need to factor in. But there's still adequate margin in there to be making good revenue out of, plus all of the other relationship with the kids. You know, we have some of our clients will say every piece of aged care advice they give, they will pick up at least one, if not more, of the children as ongoing clients.
That I think is a huge point that so many people overlook, and that they think, oh, I don't really want to go to the trouble of you know, getting into aged care advice because it's always transactional. You know, the person's going to go into the care facility and then it's not an ongoing agreement. But the large amount of the time and effort and work is often with the adult kids, right? And so that's where you build that relationship.
And great relationships with them. You know, we've got an advisor we've referred on some incredibly wealthy children to get some advice, and those children have now become the ongoing clients. So it is really important.
And it makes sense because you're there in one of their most challenging times of their life, helping mum and dad through this. It's an awful position to be in. And if you can remove some of the stress and you can be their trusted, guiding hand through that, then it's a great start to a long-term relationship for a lot of their other important decisions in life. It makes beautiful sense. Okay, so then Louise, then the other element is that teach me to do it myself. So why don't we talk about that, because your resources are phenomenal.
So we find some of our clients will come in and that's where they go straight to that end, and that's great. So we can do that. Others might progress through we'll do it for you, we'll do it with you to teach me how to do it. So again, everybody moves at their own pace. But in the teach me how to do it, that's the ones who, you know, you need obviously to have done your accreditation training to make sure you've skilled in this area, make sure you've got authorization from your AFSL to give the advice under your own license. All you need is that magic piece of software that's going to do this accurately and efficiently for you, which is what we use. It's why we can get the paraplans back in a day or two, because we've got this magic little software that we have very purpose built to do this. So what we can do is license advisors to use that. So if they would want to do it themselves, and really if you're going to do this regularly, and even if it's only one every couple of months, the software is very easy to use, it's very quick to use, and far more cost effective to be able to license and do it yourself. But, you know, again, we have some advisors that will just, every plan we got one who would do a plan every month. We do the paraplanning for them. We have others that might have one every 2 or 3 months and they use the software and do it themselves. So it really is a
whatever
solution
works
for every
people.
business.
And what do you charge the software out at?
Well, we got the 2 different membership packages. So our first level package is our Essentials membership package, and that's $295 plus GST. That's just all the tools and resources you need to be business ready, to market, to communicate, to educate your clients.
And we're going to get into a bit of detail on that.
Yeah, we will come back to that one. If you want to then add on the software and be able to do that yourself, it's an extra $200 a month. So for $495 a month plus GST, you've basically got the software. You can do as many plans as you like, plus all of the other resources. And with both of those packages, I think also too, the thing that our clients keep telling us is most valuable is you've got telephone access to our team of experts as well. pick up the phone and call us and answer questions.
Great. So even if you don't use your power planning service, once you remember, you're on tap for strategy questions and conversations.
Yeah. So with both
Brilliant.
those packages, our Essentials and our Active, we've got a, email, telephone, helpline.
Great. So, when you think about that, $495, call it $500 a month, some firms would look at that and go, oh, that's pretty expensive. But what I love is that you've also got all of the resources in there to create communications with your clients, to let them know that you have the services, to go out to your referral arrangements and let them know and give them some marketing material that can make sure that you're Johnny on the spot, the first point of call, the minute anybody has any aged care issues. So it actually, I think, not only is a business enabling cost, if you like, so it allows you to do the work well when you get to that point of needing it, it actually helps you grow your business because it helps you build out that marketing story and the comms piece as well. So I look at it and seeing firsthand what it does in businesses, I would absolutely say not to look at it as a cost because it's great outcomes that you receive from it. Before we go into a little bit more on that toolbox, you were saying that, yes, you need to be accredited. You've got the training piece as well. I mean, that's probably, I guess, where most people would have heard of aged care steps, right? Because you're probably the go-to training and education provider in this space.
Yep. So our core, our flagship training is the accreditation. And so we do it online. We're hoping to get back to face-to-face. So 2 days face-to-face or 3 5-hour online webinars. Whichever way you do it, it is live, it is interactive. So you get to interact with the facilitator. And we also give, a lot of materials that support that. So pre-reading, other materials that will be useful in your business ongoing, and of course, the learning. So what I think we do differently and from our feedback is done incredibly well is it's not just about telling you what the fees are and how to calculate them and the basic strategies. We really go into helping you understand how the aged care system works. What's the perspective of the aged care providers? Because that's what we're going to come across. Yeah. How is the government and the departments interacting? The Department of Health and Services Australia, and what roles do they play and how do we interact with them? But most importantly, then the clients. And what we do is we've built it into the advice process as well. So we have a unique 9-step process, which gives you a framework because what we know is that it's really hard to retain all the knowledge you learn in that time. There's a lot that we cover. We also know that when that client first comes in to see you, that it's really hard to go, how do I translate what I learned into what I'm going to do? Nervous, unsure about how to go about it as well.
Especially if there's a gap of time. If you don't start using those skills immediately, it's the cognitive ability to just draw upon them is difficult.
That's right. So we get that. So what we've done is built it out into a 9-step process, and we separated out what you do in your first meeting, what you do while you're developing a document, how you think about the strategy, and then what you do afterwards, in the second meeting. So we've got a 9-step process. We've got tips for each step. We give them a pattern and a process, and we go through that in the workshop, so that we give clients confidence. They're not leaving the workshop knowing every single detail about aged care. I still learn something new, and I've been doing aged care for, 25 years. So what we teach them is the confidence to say, I can do this. I can think about where this fits into my business, what I want to achieve with it, how I'm going to start having conversations with my clients, what things I need to change or set up in my business to be business ready, and how do I start letting my clients know they come and see me. So it's all about equipping and enabling the advisor to be comfortable with what business model they want and be able to implement it as well. And the other thing we are super excited about is, I know advisors are education weary, and it seems to be every time you turn around, there's another course you have to do as well. Yeah. So our course, we've got a lot of the AFSLs that they've got aged care policies, and our course is one of the ones that will let advisors give the tick to give advice. But we also, for members of the Financial Planning Association, the FPA has brought out an aged care specialist designation. So if you want to apply for that, our course is what you'll need to do. So it's the only education pathway to get that designation. And just recently, so we're starting off next year, what we're also very excited about is for those advisors that want to do a master's with Deakin University. Deakin will actually give them a one elective credit subject for our course. So you can do our course. It counts as one subject towards Deakin's Master of Financial Planning. And also you'll get a 15% discount on all the Deakin course as well, which can save you an awful lot more than you're paying us to do the course.
That's fantastic. And you would not, that's just a testament to the quality of the training that you've built, because clearly you would not have got those two things without being an exceptional quality of program. And I've spoken with advisors who have done the course, and absolutely it's right up there. It's fantastic. So on that, what's your pricing around the training and accreditation?
So it's 2,200 plus GST for each person that goes through it.
Right.
But we're offering some discounts for your membership group. So
yes, then we are very, very appreciative of that, as do a lot of our provider members, giving a special offer to Evolve Alliance members. So for those listening to this, if you are a member of the Evolve Alliance, which you absolutely should be, you just log into your portal, go to the provider member page of Aged Care Steps, and you'll see all of the details of that special offer. That's it, you know, adds an even additional element of value there for you.
Yeah. Can also help you get an awful lot of your annual CPD points as well.
Yes, indeed. And there's no shortage of those required. And I do, look, I think the beauty of training like this is I think one of the questions that advisors have is, at what point do I need to bite the bullet and say, okay, now I'll have one of the advisors in my firm or myself go through this training and accreditation, because I can see there's a need for us to use it so often. And I think that's, you know, to our point earlier, the fact that if you're really just starting to play around the edges, you can use the outsourced element and be a part of the conversations and start to understand just how complex this is. And then, you know, what I see often is advisors, once they do it every now and again, they realize just how much is involved, and then they look then at their sources of business. So my brain as a business coach immediately goes to, well, this is a great addition to your value proposition. We talk a lot about your client avatar and how you don't want to be trying to be all things to all people anymore. You just physically can't do it in advice now. So it's incredibly important to be clear on who your avatars are, the types of clients that you're targeting your services around, you really want to work with. Now, if those clients if your avatars are sort of pre-retirees through to retirees, odds are this is going to be a need for a certain number of them at some point in time. And so you can then make it part of your business planning that over a period of time, you're going to gradually add to your skill set to be able to do this. And you then start marketing it, and suddenly you'll find just how many people out there really need help in this space, and how few opportunities there are, or few resources that they do have that they can lean on. So
I think that's a real key though, Sue, too, in that, sorry to interrupt, but once you start talking about it, then you will see what the demand is. So for any advisors who think it's really not in your client base, again, I think it's because you're not talking about it, your clients aren't raising it with you, might just randomly come up, but it's creating that awareness, and if you talk about it and you start marketing it, you will find that your clients are going to be interested, and you might be surprised just how many.
Yeah, indeed. And so your toolkit, I know we've touched on a few different elements of it. I love, you were showing it to me the other day. And again, for Evolve Alliance members, when you jump into the portal, you will see a little demo video. So you can see just the plethora of support tools that are in there. So they're in various sort of different categories, I guess. Why don't we start with that marketing material? So you want to, if you've got social media channels, you can put it out there. If you've got referral sources, you can, get it in front of those accountants and so forth to share. What sort of tools have you got in there to help with that?
So I think it's about, first thing is getting your office business ready. So sometimes about just clients that walk into your office, how do they even know you do aged care? So it's about posters. We've got posters in there that you can put up on the wall, brochures that you can download to have in your office. And I should say everything in our toolkit is there for advisors to use and to make it look like their own brand as well. So we've got a system where you upload your logo and your contact details. And so then when you download the brochures or you download the client fact sheets, it will drop your logo, your contact details in there so that it looks like you. We want to make you guys look smart. And that's the aim of our business as well. So it might be materials to clients coming into your office will see you do aged care, and that might trigger them to ask or raise the issue. But also too, I think we need to start our clients thinking about it and create awareness and get them to be more curious to come back in. So articles, how long does it take you to write an article, and trying to get that pitch right and the client perspective and excite them. So we've done all that for you. So every month we put a client article and a social media post in there. And so all it is pick them up, put them into your own newsletter or on your own letterhead, issue them, put them on your Facebook page, put them on your website. And again, if that saved you an hour's worth of work a month, you have paid for the whole toolkit, just in that function as well. We've also got seminars, all sorts of things, really.
So sorry, I will go back to that. I would also mention, when I was looking at the portal the other day, there were 2 pieces of material in there that jumped out at me immediately as being, this would be a lead magnet. So, one of those things that you could have on your website that say, solve your challenges of XYZ in aged care, put in your email address and download this free resource from the website. Or social media campaigns, if you do have budget that you want to actually do a sponsored campaign, suddenly you have a lead magnet that helps people with their biggest questions about aged care, and it's all branded you, and then suddenly the minute they need some help, you're the first person they're going to. So it's great the way there's, if you've got a marketing mindset, if you've decided in your business that you want to start promoting that this is something that you do, all of the tools and the copy and the articles and the content are already built out. So seminars, I interrupted you.
I was going to say, again, seminars, we've got kits in there that a lot of the advisors will use just to, how do you get your clients back into seeing you? What's a topic? I can tell you, anytime an advisor runs a seminar with a heading of aged care, they get lots of clients. And it's a great way to say, bring a friend, bring your kids, bring your next door neighbor. And even if we're not doing face-to-face seminars, again, the slides. Webinars. We've had lots of advisors using those very successfully just to interact and engage. We've got simple slides. We've got speakers notes. We've got the invitations. Again, anything we do, we just put together the whole resource for you as well, so that you can communicate and make it really simple, make you look like the expert.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. And anything else in the toolkit that we haven't touched on?
Oh, there's heaps. So I guess the toolkit has really a couple of different broad aspects. So it's about, if you want to go and promote your business and encourage clients to come and talk to you, the marketing sections where you should go. If you're having conversations with clients and you just need them to maybe have some extra information, in a review meeting, aged care comes up, or you raise it as an issue, and you just want them to have some research and to think about it, there's education materials that will support those conversations. If you want to be able to do some quick calculations and some numbers around it, there's a range of very, very quick, simple calculators to use as well. If you need answers to your questions, there's a technical library plus our very valuable helpline service as well. There's also, if you just want to be business ready, we've got a section in there which is all the templates for what does the receptionist who's taking the phone call, what do they need to have as a conversation with the client who's rung up to ask about aged care, the confirmation letters that you send back to make sure they come in prepared for that meeting, an agenda for how you might run an aged care meeting, a terms of engagement that's tailored to aged care advice. So all of the, what do I need as process and compliance tools to be business ready, as well as just the marketing and those ongoing communication tips for how to have conversations, strategy papers. It really is all in there. And webinars, again, a whole library of webinars to upskill and to learn and to continue to build your knowledge. So lots of resources. And I think we often have advisors too that think the toolkit's not for them because they're not wanting to market to aged care or they're not getting many clients for aged care. We say, again, the toolkit is just a base that every advisor really needs in their business, whether even for those guys that don't see much of this or don't want to do much. It's a very quick, easy way to just make sure you're continuing to remind your clients about the future in aged care so that they are thinking of you and they are going to come back to you, and then you can outsource the advice. So it does help with all of those. It's not just about marketing to bring new business in. It's about adding value and depth of your advice for your existing clients and how to keep them engaged, and ideas to add extra value at review meetings, which is what we all need to be doing now as well.
Absolutely. And it's, the amount of time saved, anybody who's ever tried to type an email for the first time in a part of an advice process, or even the agenda templates, the SOA templates, for goodness sake, the amount of time that was required to build all of those things out. And I'm guessing I know the answer to this, but with any legislative changes, with any updates and any thresholds or anything like that, I'm guessing it's all you guys keep it up to date all of the time.
Yeah. We do. The rates charts are in there. We got news items to let you know when something's changed. And I can tell you, when the rates change, we've got a week of just frantic updating everything. It's always a lot of fun, particularly as they don't give us much notice on what the changes will be. But we keep it all very up to date.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, well, look, fantastic. I think that's a really great summary. There's absolutely no excuse why advisors cannot deliver such an important resource and piece of advice at an important time of their clients' lives. Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet, Louise, that you want to cover?
I think it's just about being brave and adding that value. And also too, there are so many people out there, that are worried about this. And I think it's an important thing to just raise it with your clients. Be brave. We make you brave. We can hold your hand however you want us to do that as well. But also, I think it's about not just thinking about giving advice at that crisis point, but also bringing that back for how do I start getting my clients thinking about frailty and planning ahead. It's
that
not
term
just
of frailty planning. It's important.
It's not just moving into an aged care facility. It might be moving into a retirement village. It might be looking at how the kids support you. It might be home care. It might be just thinking about modifications you need to do in your own home to be safe there and to stay there. So it really is about, and this is why I said in review meetings, this is a really powerful conversation. Who is your client as a person? What's important to them for the rest of their life to make sure they live good quality, best life they can, regardless of what life gives us. And making sure they're ready and prepared for that. And I mean, that's the whole essence. I think that's what I love about the aged care side. That's the whole essence of what financial planning advice is about. And it's all at your fingertips with using our business toolkit, using our personal advice service, our paraplanning, our advice generator, the training. And again, we talked about the accreditation training, but for those advisors who think that's a step too far and they want to just dip their toe in the water, we have shorter training programs as well. Great. So they don't have to launch straight into the full accreditation, but they might choose to. So, we got the whole range of training to suit the different needs, advice process to suit the needs and the tools.
Why don't we do a really quick synopsis of your background and where did Aged Care Steps come from?
Yeah, okay. I think I personally have been working in financial services for probably more years than I want to confess, but it's probably about 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And what I've always specialized in the technical services area, supporting financial advisors, looking at the legislation, the tax, the super, social security. My background, though, came from a social security background. I used to work for a consumer organization that was funded by Social Security. So Social Security, and then when the Aged Care Act came out in 1997, always was an area that I love, and I love the complexity of it. I love the problem solving. I love the way that you can see how you can make a difference immediately to clients. And so that's what I've done. But I've worked in financial planning businesses. I've worked in funds management as the technical support person. And one day over coffee, maybe it was over a cocktail, but my business partner now, Asiat, and I, we talked about just what was missing in the industry and what we saw as the real skills we had. And what we thought is it's a way of being able to, where we saw the gaps was being able to bring together lots of knowledge into the financial planning process and be able to help advisors not just understand the rules, but know when to use them and, more importantly, how to use them. So we set up a business called Strategy Steps. Over time, we saw aged care really, really growing in far more importance and becoming a very, very important part of financial planning. And no one else was really looking at that area. We always did, but we decided that we would just specialize in aged care. So we set up Aged Care Steps back in 2012. But, so both of us have a very long history in the industry. I've been a board member on the FPA. I've been a board member on the SMSF Association. I also had a really great privilege of being on the Aged Care Financing Authority as a member of that body. And that was a statutory body set up by the government to advise the government on aged care sustainability and the financial aspects. And so I learned a lot around the insides and the depths of aged care as well. So I think through my experience, I've seen financial planning and particularly aged care from a client viewpoint, from a government and policy viewpoint, from a consumer lobby group viewpoint, and more importantly, from financial planning viewpoint as well.
Yeah, and I think, I absolutely commend you, because what you've built with Aged Care Steps absolutely confirms that depth of knowledge and understanding that you have. Well, Louise, thank you so much, not only for coming on board as the provider member and supporting our Evolve Alliance members, but also just for having built the business that you have, because it's so important, and it enables every advisor in the country to be able to serve the needs of their clients when it comes to aged care. So thank you. For anyone wanting to reach out to you, obviously in the show notes and on this page that you found this material, there will be links to your website. You can go on. It's a great site. It's pretty easy to navigate around. People can find their way, and you've got a chat line. You've got a phone number.
Yep, it's all on our website there.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, again, Louise, thanks so much for coming on board and speaking with me today. And best of luck to all the advisors out there playing in this space.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue.